Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mike Brewer back with Chamber Talk for the week of June 5th, 1995. And we have with us on location at Agri-Industrial Plastics, the president of Agri-Industrial Plastics, Dick Smith. Welcome to the first show that we've ever done on location. And we'll try to show our viewers a little bit about Agri-Industrial Plastics before the evening show is over with. Susan, it's a pleasure once again to see you.
Thank you. I think this will be very interesting.
It's a new experience for all of us included. Richard Thompson, our cameraman, is on location for the first time. We do thank you, Richard, for all of your endeavors in helping produce and to do the filming for our on-location shows. We have 4 shows scheduled this month on location. We'll be doing Agri-Industrial Plastics obviously today, and next week we'll be going to Rockwell International, the following week to the Dexter Company, and the last Monday in June we'll be at the Fairfield Aluminum Castings Company with Dick Hunt. So we've got 4 Mondays all mapped out and ready to go. I did have a chance to go to some of the graduation parties. We had a beautiful weekend for the 120 graduates here in Fairfield High School, and lots of beautiful people marching across the stage, and I thought the 2 kids did a great job as commencement speakers. Both of them did a very, very nice job. And I did see you at one or more of the parties.
Right. I helped at one and managed to go to a few. There were a lot.
Yeah, tough time to be on a diet with all of the good food being passed out by all of the parents. But it is fun to see the students finish their high school education and go on into bigger and higher realms of education or whatever their endeavors may be. Now let's take a special look at today, June 5th, and the activities taking place in Fairfield for this coming week and for the balance of this month. A special today, June 5th, is special birthday wishes to Bob Rasmussen, the mayor of our fair city. Susan Phipps, Jackie Parkin, and Shirley Kitch all celebrate birthdays on June 5th.
And also Dick Ward.
Oh, and Dick Ward does too.
Station.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's great. And probably others that I'm not aware of. At any rate, a special welcome to Marie Coughlin, my very good dear friend on 205 South Main. Good evening, Marie, and hope you enjoy the show. Today at noontime we had a housing committee meeting at the hospital, and the various groups and entities were informed of the progress taking place, and we will be seeing more with a housing survey taking place later on this summer. Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, Iowa Wesleyan College will be coming to Fairfield and visiting with the Chamber of Commerce, talking about some of the interaction possibilities that they may or may not be able to work out with the Chamber and with the city. At 5 o'clock, Jerry Headley, the chairperson of the Sesquicentennial Commission, will be holding their regular monthly meeting. It's a week early, and I emphasize that, so all of you commission people out there that belong to the Sesquicentennial group, this is Wednesday the 7th at 5 o'clock at the Chamber office. Immediately following that is Men's Blast-Off, and the Calcutta, I should say, at the Walton Club, and this is an opportunity to go out and play a little golf, have some fun, and then get inside and buddy up with somebody and buy a team or more than one team, whatever the case may be, and have some fun watching the 27th annual Men's Blast-Off. Then kicks off at 8 o'clock Thursday morning, the 8th day of June. Power Wagon Rally, Dave Butler's group, will also get underway on Thursday the 8th, as well as Friday the 9th, and of course on Saturday the Power Wagon Rally has their parade at 9:30 a.m. coming downtown around Central Park, and then at 10:30 in the morning all of the vehicles will be parked around the square for everybody's viewing. It's always kind of a fun time, great thing to take a look at, and kind of reserve Saturday morning for 9:30 parade time around Central Park. Some coming activities that we'd like you to know about are June 14th, the Business After Hours is scheduled for Hardee's, and Bob Harvey has invited us all out, all the chamber members, to be a party to what he calls a special Business After Hours. I don't know what he means.
This is on Flag Day.
Yeah,
so
this is on Flag Day. So I don't know. But don't miss it. Write it down for 4:30 on June 14th at Hardee's. Then June 16th and 17th is the Parsons College reunion. I've been in conversation with Dave Pierce down in Florida, who will be coming up next week early to talk about the Parsons reunion, kind of keep us on track. Once they get a firm schedule of activities, we'll be handling that through the Fairfield Chamber of Commerce office. We'll be talking about it next Monday also on our Chamber Talk show very quickly. Then, of course, on June 20th is the 19th annual Ladies Blast-Off, and you remember you promised you were going to play golf. Now, have you been out in practice yet?
I hate to break promises, but...
But what?
Oh, it's a busy day.
Okay. I suppose. I'm not going to let you off the hook that easily, though, Susan. A couple of announcements that I'd like to have everybody take special notice of before we get on with our special guest today. The Elks Garage Sale is scheduled for Saturday, June 17th. It'll be at the Easter's parking lot from 7:30 to 12:30. They need donated items, and all of the proceeds go to the Elks Youth Activities Division, which is the senior prom, and they're getting ready to have a big garage sale on the 17th. They would like for you to donate your items by this Saturday, June 10th. You can call Steve Winslow, Ralph Hickenbottom, Sean Schillerstrom, or Jim Stoner and donate items for the youth activities of the Fairfield Elks Lodge. Very special friend, Vivian Hammis, over at the Senior Center and the Fairfield Chamber are helping and co-hosting and sponsoring, whatever the case may be, the 3rd annual Senior Fishing Tournament. And this year, a couple of the rules you got to follow. You must be 60 years old or older, but no fishing license is needed. It's an Iowa free day, and so if you're 60 or over, there's 3 free days a year that you can go fishing. You have to follow all the state regulations. You can't catch too many fish, you can't kiss the little ones, you can't do all that stuff, but you don't need a license, and this Saturday is one of those fishing free days. So if you've had the urge to get out and go fishing, why, this Saturday's the time to do it. You got to be 60 years old or older, no fishing license required. You must adhere to the Fish and Game regulations. Do pre-register over at the Senior Center by June 7th. Let them know what's happening. We've got prizes for the biggest fish, the smallest fish, the most fish, the ugliest fish, the oldest, yeah, I don't know, the oldest angler, the best fishing hat, and the most humorous happening. In case somebody falls in the lake, I don't know. Lunch is included in your registration fee of $5. Sandwich, chips, fruit, brownies, and drink. Call Vivian Hammis over at the Senior Citizen Center at 472-4403 and make your reservation now. It promises to be a very good time.
I thought this was such a special event. I listed it on our community calendar.
Oh, good,
on
good.
FPAC. So if they have questions also, they can turn it on. And we have a lot of those guidelines listed on there, but I hope people take advantage of it.
Yeah, I do too. It's been growing, and the weather hasn't cooperated the last 2 years out at number 2 pond. This year it's up at Lake Darling, and good fishing is promised. Ron Carter from the Ledger, Ron has promised us good fishing. At any rate, now let's get on with the main activity of today's Chamber Talk show. And Dick, it's a real pleasure to have you be a pioneer with Susan and I doing an on-location program for our Channel 9 Fairfield television station.
I'm not so sure about the word pioneer, but
well, we're all kind of pioneers out here doing our thing in the first time. Well, I'd like to visit with you just a little bit about your personal background, family, etc., and when you came to Fairfield.
well, I was raised in Iowa, in Indianola, Iowa, and went to school at the University of Iowa, and then left the state for about 15 years. Moved back to Iowa and settled in Fairfield in 1973 with the family and the 2 children. And then in 1978 we started the company here. Judy has taught in the Fairfield School almost since that whole time period. Brian, I think he was in 3rd grade when we arrived in Fairfield, and he now lives in Nashville, is in the Christian music field. Lori, this is her 10th high school graduation this year, so time flies. Yeah. And she lives in Chicago.
And I've played tennis with your wife quite a bit, so I know Judy.
Okay.
Well, all these years that you've been in Fairfield, how long have you been associated with the blow mold plastics industry itself?
Well, really from the very beginning, with the exception of 2 years in the Army, but I went to work for a relatively small company that made plastic bottles. Plastic bottles were some of the first items that were blow molded. Blow molding means it's hollow, so anything hollow, anything that's blow molded has to be hollow. So we make a lot of tanks and bottles and things like that. So I went to this company which was one of the pioneers in blow molding, and I was with them. And then they were bought out by Monsanto. I was with them for about 10 years. And then I joined a small company in Bonaparte for 5 years, and then we started this company here in 1978.
We'll be taking you out into the plant a little later on toward the end of the interview, and we'll be showing you some of the blow molded products in the meantime right here in the conference room at Agri-Industrial Plastics. As we see some of the plastic coming out of the machinery, you'll notice that indeed every piece that is manufactured is hollow, and various and assorted things are done to it to make it into the end product that you'll be watching. But a very fascinating process, yeah, I guess is the proper word, a fascinating process as opposed to an extruded product or any other type of product.
Are there very many companies around that do this?
What we call ourselves industrial blow molding, so we don't make any containers or any disposables or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So most of the things that we make are relatively new in the plastics industry, relatively new, the last 15 or 20 years. And in that time period, the technology has really leapfrogged tremendously. So the things that are being made today could not have been made 10 years ago. Mm. And so most of the companies in this area have grown quite rapidly, in a fairly short time frame.
And I did, when we walked around, I saw some things that I recognized and some things I didn't recognize. So when you show us, that'll be interesting.
What are some of the products, Dick, that you've been associated with that probably have been the most innovative, or some of the things that were new and out on the cutting edge that you were pleased and proud to be able to get a mold made and produce some of the tough products?
We from the very beginning, we've really not tried to specialize in one particular area like ag products or gas tanks. We really looked at it as what would be a good product for blow molding, and so we really have a wide diversity of products that we make. I'd like to show you some.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, we made a lot of agriculturally related products. Thank you. From the very beginning, we made pig feeders. This happens to be a baby pig feeder, so they learn how to drink milk.
They have to learn how to drink milk?
Oh yeah, you have to teach baby pigs how to eat.
Show next.
Over on the other side of the room, there's a heat mat for baby pigs. It's been proven that if baby pigs are put onto a slightly warm mat, that they do better in their first few weeks of life. So, those are some of the things we started out making many years ago, and to this day, those components are still an important part of our business. I want for Susan to demonstrate your latest product. That's one of your biggest sellers at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, this is a product that we worked on a year ago, and it went into the marketplace, and really was it was really a total failure in being promoted, and then the company went back around and promoted it through different channels, and we can't make enough of them. It's been a real success story for the company, and obviously for us too. We had purchased a new machine last year, and that machine is totally sold out making this product. A few years ago, a company moved to town on making traffic control things. This is a product that we make for them that you've seen along new construction. This is a channelizer barrel, they call it, that you'll see along interstates. This company actually established a distribution plant, an assembly plant here in Fairfield. The name of the company is Trafex Incorporated. So they, again, were a new company like we were, and started out with very little, and now then they employ quite a few people here, and they have a California plant, and they also have a plant in Mexico. We make a lot of crazy things. That's an easel that we make. Here's a new product that we developed about 1.5 years ago that's been a real big success. It's called a changing station. It goes into public restrooms and a place to change the infants. and it's being sold all over the world.
I have seen a lot of these.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And didn't you just say that now the rights groups are demanding that the men's restrooms have
Oh yeah,
these
oh yeah,
as well?
oh yeah, absolutely. You don't put it in just the one.
Twice as many.
So those,
What is this?
that's a exercise,
Another
you know, like a Jane Fonda
Yes,
step.
Step up.
It's a company that's in Texas. It's more or less made.
Yes, you can do this.
Okay, I can do this. Yeah, I finally found something I could do.
It's an extra heavy-duty unit made for gym use and commercial use versus a home use. So it's just a wide variety of things we make. There's a thing that you're going to see out in the plant. This is a chair that's going to be used in bowling alleys. It was a product that we worked on for about 2 years, and now then it's went into production at the beginning of this year, and it looks like it's going to be a very large volume item for us.
This is just for bowling alleys.
Just for bowling alleys. And their bowling alleys are sold all over the world. Brunswick is the company we're making it for, and they sell, I don't know, 80% of the ones that are sold. So it's another crazy item that we seem to get involved with, and that's really our whole existence, is making a lot of different things.
Now the thing over there, the snow scoop, have I seen those on the market yet?
Well, they've been on the market for 2 years. They're assembled by Tenco here in town.
I thought I saw a neighbor using one.
And, yeah, I'm sure you did. Stu Gomer has distributed quite a few of them in town here. As I said, Tenco assembles the unit, and then it's mostly sold through catalog sales. There are some retail units that sell it. That's a oxygen generator housing for, you know, hospital use or home use,
Yeah.
either one.
I thought it was like a pet carrier with little windows and everything.
No, this actually just is the housing for the oxygen generator that is utilized. And in fact, some of these are used in home.
Sure. Oh yeah, big market. Yes.
Whenever people are required to be on oxygen, and you can pick it up and just carry it around with you. There are several other activities going on out in the plant. We'll be taking a look at some of those very soon. And of course, right now, I think, Dick, you're in the process of blow molding fuel tanks for some snowmobiles. We're getting ready for the coming season.
Snowmobiles is a big item for us. We make fuel tanks and oil tanks and water tanks and hoods and all kinds of things for snowmobiles.
And you've also gotten heavily involved with the personal watercraft.
They are being built by the same companies that build the snowmobiles, and it's just a perfect match because you're not building Kawasaki snowmobiles, and come next you can build Kawasaki Wave Runners.
Now, I was
So-
amazed that you, when we toured just for a minute, that you said there were 500 a day being made of the snowmobile tanks. Now, how long do you make these?
We make them for 2 or 3 different companies, and you know they have different requirements, of course.
So
but
this
there's
is
a lot of them made.
continuously.
We make snowmobile components for about 9 months out of the year, but basically they are snowmobiles are just, they begin in earnest in about let's see what month is this, so about a month or 2 ago, and the production goes till early winter, October, November, and then the wave runners begin early winter until spring.
Do they make changes in these every once in a while?
Oh yes, all the time.
All the time?
All the time.
Oh.
Tremendous. You know, model changes. You know, it's like the automotive industry. You know, there's just a continual changing process.
Well, we're getting about ready to wrap up the first portion of tonight's show, and we'll be closing down and going out into the plant, taking a look at some of those blow-mold machines that are producing some of the products that you've seen here, and specifically the Brunswick bowling seat. We'll go out there immediately as soon as we take the camera out. Before we leave, it's going to be pretty noisy out in the plant, so we won't have a chance to say goodbye, so we'll do that now. And at this time, it's been a real pleasure for Susan Kessel and myself to have you, Dick, on our first show, and we hope that we've learned some things here and we can continue to provide some information to all of our viewers and listeners out there in Channel 9 Fairfield Public Access Television. A couple of things to remember. We've got the June 14th Visitor After Hours at Hardee's. June 16th and 17th we've got the Parsons Reunion. June 20th is the 19th Annual Ladies Blast Off, and of course this Thursday is the 29th Annual Men's Blast Off. So with that, this is Mike Brewer saying goodbye for the moment, and we'll pick it up out in the plant. Thank you.
Before we go out, this is an aerial view of the plant, production area showing the warehouse and the general plant layout. Since this photo was taken, we have added an office and some manufacturing space, but we're located on the corner of Grimes and 22nd Street, and as you can see, the whole new Dexter complex is located across the street, which is nothing there right now.
Okay, now we're out here on the floor of Agri-Industrial Plastics, and with me is Dick Smith, and we're watching, what are we watching?
Well, we're watching a new shrink wrap machine that is wrapping basketball courts. These basketball courts are sent to Salt Lake City, and so this is an inexpensive way of bundling them as such without putting them in a cardboard box. So it's a brand new machine, and we're just starting to use it, so everybody's kind of learning here slowly on how to use it. But it wraps a shrink film around the part, and then it holds them tight while they're shipped.
Now these are basketball courts, you say. Now explain that to Susan and I, because we're both standing here looking at you with question marks in our eye.
Okay, it's a ballast that holds the pole. You fill that full of water or sand, and then it's semi-portable. It actually has two wheels on it, so you can set it on your driveway or slide it off your driveway. And they're instead of having it permanently mounted someplace in cement, you can move it around. And so, and surprisingly enough, in cities they actually have tournaments where they have a couple dozen of these set up along the streets, and they have basketball, one-on-one tournaments and that type of thing.
I need one of these. We don't have a hoop, and my son's always giving me a hard time.
They're sold over at Walmart right now for $127. It's a great product. This machine here is the biggest machine we have. It's making the basketball court base. Right now, this is the first day of production for this production run. It's a very large machine. It'll make parts weighing up to 75 pounds. It's actually one of the largest machines, west of the Mississippi River.
And this is the machine that's making the basketball court standard.
That's correct.
Okay, now over here to our right, the blue machine is the machine that's making the Brunswick seats. Is that right?
That's correct. It's a smaller machine. The Brunswick seat weighs only 7 or 8 pounds, and it's the smaller machine, and this other machine we just looked at, and it makes the Brunswick seat.
Well, we saw the seat in the finished product down in the conference room. Now let's shut the camera off and walk behind the plant, behind the machine and the other side of the plant, and take a look at a finished seat coming out of the machine. Our Brunswick bowling alley is right out of the machine right now.
And then you see the parison coming down, and then the mold closes around it, and then we blow air into it. So even though it looks fairly solid, there's actually, that seat is all hollow in between the two layers. And now then, it takes a certain amount of time to cool it, and that's what it's doing now. The mold is water cooled with cold refrigerated water, and we then leave it in there a certain amount of time. That's probably stay in there for probably 2 minutes. And then when it's adequately cooled, the mold opens up, takes the part out, and then repeat the process.
How many seats like this would you make per day?
Truckload a day.
which is
500-600 a day.
500 or 600 seats a day out of this one machine. One thing I'd like to tell the audience about, and Richard, if you just kind of shine the camera over here by what appears to be waste, and Dick, I'd like you to tell them about the fact that you don't have waste.
Everything we make has what we call flash or scrap as such associated with the part. So we trim that off, and then we have granulating equipment right next to the machine, and that is ground up, and then it goes right back in to make another seat. So if everything is kept clean and all that, there's very, very little waste. And of course, this is a type of plastic that can be recycled into other products. If this seat 10 years from now, for example, isn't going to be used, it can easily be ground up and used in a drain pipe, for example.
I think we're just about to recycle once again and watch another seat come out of the machine.
The mold's going to open up. There's a false alarm, Mike.
Yeah, there it goes.
There we go.
There we go.
That lets the air out of it that we formed the part with. And the part comes out. And then the next hollow tube comes down, and the mold closes around it. And we blow air into it and cool it again to make the next part.
Okay, now we're going to take a look at some of the orange traffic channelizer cones that have been made by Traffics Devices here at Fairfield Agri-Industrial Plastics at the other end of the plant. We'll pick it up down there. We're standing here with Dick Smith at the end of our tour of Agri-Industrial Plastics. Susan, it's been a real good experience for both you and I to be out here in the plant. We hope our viewers tonight have had a good time. Dick, we really want to thank you for the opportunity of coming out here and visiting with your plant, being part of the tour with us. It's been a lot of fun.
Always welcome.
Well, we hope so. We're going to watch one last cycle of the traffic channelizer cones that's been one of your mainstay products for a long, long time.
That's correct. The mold's opening up, parts going out. Then you see the hollow tube coming back down here, and the mold will close around it.
Here comes the orange plastic. How hot would that be when it comes out?
Oh, it's about 400 degrees Fahrenheit.
This machine seems to cycle faster than the Brunswick seats.
Yeah, the speed at which we run things all is dependent on how fast you can cool them. If it's a thinner plastic, why we can run faster. The heavier it is, the slower we have to run just because of cooling time involved.
And I think it's interesting, and for all of the people viewing tonight, to know that all of the products you make out here are all recyclable, can be ground up and reused in other products in years to come.
That's correct. I don't know of one thing we make that could not be used into another useful device 20 years down the road.
Once again, on behalf of Chamber Talk, it's been a real pleasure having Dick Smith from Agri-Industrial Plastics. Susan, it's been great. We'll do it again next week at Rockwell International. Stay tuned to Channel 9, Fairfield Public Access Television, 7 p.m. once again. Thank you.